Hey everyone, this is Dustin, better known as Daddy D. I am the executive producer and editor for the Wife Wednesday podcast. I wanted to take a moment to thank you for being such amazing, loyal listeners to this little hobby, which has turned into so much more over the past nearly 2 years. We've loved bringing you some new material, like our Wife Wednesday Halloween beer tasting event, and we have some great ideas and plans in motion to bring you even more great content in 2022. We hope that you will be here on your favorite streaming platform, listening to us and sharing us with your friends and your families. From all of us on the Wife Wednesday team, we wish you the merriest Christmas, happiest New Year, and all the best in 2022. Be sure to like us and subscribe on Facebook, Twitter, and your favorite podcast platform.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to the Wife Wednesday podcast. It's Wednesday, and I'm one of your wives, Cena.
And I'm Nicole.
Wife Wednesday podcast is a podcast that we created as a hobby, and it has now become an exciting journey for self-discovery. ... But really, we're just two women who talk about anything and everything. So come hang out with us.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to the Wife Wednesday podcast. It's Wednesday, and I'm one of your wives, Cena. This week in our holiday-themed episode, we've decided to take a wintry walk down memory lane. Today, I'm joined by my grandmother, Margurite, and my mother, Gladys. Say hi.
Hi.
Hello. This week, I want to take some time and interview you both on some Christmas time memories. However, on our show, we normally have a bit of a catch-up session. How are you guys doing tonight?
Okay.
Just okay?
Yeah.
We're ordering a pizza and waiting for it to show up right now. So we're hungry.
I just got done with work and coaching, so yeah.
How many more sessions you got before Christmas?
Coaching?
Yeah.
3. We coach through Thursday. And I work the college through Wednesday.
Through Wednesday?
Yeah.
I forgot how much that worked right up to Christmas, and our kids were on swim team. But we got them there, and they did it, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised swim teams in the winter when everyone's freezing. Wet children going out in the cold.
Well, we do it.
I know you
When
do
we
it.
were
up
kids
doing
in
it.
5 above 0 and packed into station wagons with no seat belts.
Mhm.
That was 30 years ago, 30, 40 years ago.
She can do it. Okay.
So, but yeah, you just, and if you be in a store or something behind the family and you see all these wet heads, you knew that they were probably from swim team, no matter what the temperature was.
Yeah, when I taught swim lessons still, that was the worst part, was going out into the cold. Then the other thing was, anytime I ran into this mother and son at one of the stores, and she was talking to me, and he's looking at me, and he goes, "Oh, I didn't recognize you without your or with your clothes on."
Oh, that was.
And I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, I teach him swim lessons.
Yes, that was just, a kid to come up to us and talk to us as their friends' parents, and be the same thing. You didn't know them without being in a swimsuit.
Yeah.
And but you don't say that. You just say without your clothes on. And so, yeah, that and it would just come out. It wasn't something that anybody thought about to say. You just said it.
You just said it. Think about it later.
Because without having their wet hair smashed against their head. And so, yeah, that was part of being on a swim team, which is didn't know a thing about swim meets. And the first time that we went, that Denny went to States, I went in a brocaded dress and heels, and I didn't know we were going to Ohio State University. At that time, we dressed up, Wasn't very long till we had pantsuits and comfy clothes. And were part of the group. You get the chlorine in your blood, it doesn't come out.
I agree.
So that's swim team life. But it was fun. It was like a lot of good families who were together as families. There was one family that were very, very adamant about their kids being capable of winning. And so one time our car broke down, and it was Gladys's relay team that we had. They were, 8, 9 years old.
So Anthony's age.
Yeah.
And that particular mom was just furious because her girl was like head honcho, or the fastest of all the little swimmers and stuff, So they weren't very happy with it. But otherwise, it was just a good group of people, and wealthy people, ordinary people. Just couldn't tell the difference if everybody was in swimsuits,
Yeah. So, along the lines of family and into this episode, I invited you both onto the show because obviously we're 3 generations here. Just hold on.
Yeah.
3 generations here, and this year we wanted to do something more personal, something fun to talk about for Christmas. So I'm going to do a Christmas icebreaker for us. What's your favorite Christmas cookie?
Well, it has a couple different names, but it's the one that's just dough, and you roll them up and you run them into powdered sugar.
The snowballs.
Little
That's what-
snowballs.
The pecan snowballs and Sandy's.
What's
Yeah,
yours,
Sandy's.
Mom?
It's got a bunch of names.
What's mine? It's a toss-up between the classic sugar cookie with thick frosting and doing the wafer cookies with the thick frosting in the middle.
The wafer cookies are my favorites. They literally just taste like butter and sugar, which is all you need for a cookie, in my opinion. But I have a very, very fond memory, or many very fond memories of sugar cookies, obviously decorating them. In particular, I have one of St. John and I. It was one of those years where you made dozens of batches of cookies, Mom. And St. John and I sat at the dining room table, and we would frost a cookie, we'd eat a cookie. We'd frost a cookie, we'd eat a cookie. And at one point, we were both just sitting there, and our blood sugars must have just been through the roof because we were lethargic. And we were like, I don't want another cookie. And the other one's like, hey, eat a cookie. I know there's a picture here in this house of me standing at the top of the stairs at your old house before you moved out of the Henry Street house. Me with my arms crossed and crying because I wasn't tall enough to go in the basement. Do you guys want to explain to me why I was so upset why I couldn't go in the basement? Why couldn't I go in the basement?
Because that was Santa's workshop area. And
Your mom and Vicky
It was Vicky, yes.
Vicky, yes.
had everything down in the basement, our basement, so that you kids didn't see, because some of you still believed in Santa Claus. And
Yeah.
so, and usually when you guys came in, the first thing you did was run downstairs, because that was a place where you usually played. And it was Christmas Eve, if I remember correctly, when all their Vicky's and
Vicky's
Jack's parents all
were there.
came.
Yes, that's right. We were having.
And I think Father John and Sister Maria came over, and because it was, you guys were singing in one group, and I was singing with the big choir. And so
We did a couple of
gone
different
to-
liturgies, and then
when
you
you
did,
guys played for the kids' mass, and then so everybody was eating. It was food at my house. I often think of that Christmas as a big ice storm when we ended up with St. John's family there.
Yeah, there was another 5 of them in there with us.
Mhm.
That was
That was a lot of us in there.
Yep.
A
and
lot
they
of
had
Christmas.
them, and I think Justin was there.
Oh, probably.
Mhm.
There were several of those boys that were with you besides.
You know, I do think Justin was there because that's when his birthday's Christmas.
Christmas, yeah.
And I feel like we did something for his birthday too.
Mhm.
So, along those lines, do either one of you have a single earliest Christmas memory? Like, what is the earliest Christmas you remember?
Riding on the canister vacuum that Dad was trying to clean up after decorating the Christmas tree. I was probably 2, maybe 3.
What's a canister vacuum? Is that like kind of the one you would drag behind you, or?
And in those days, instead of them being long, it was like a shop vac type of size.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was stainless steel, so it was all silver.
So, Mom, date yourself. How long ago was that?
If I was 2, it was 58 years ago. So
I was probably that one that we called Fido.
no, not Fido.
Not Fido?
Fido was a different one.
Okay.
This is because there's a picture of it too somewhere.
Yeah, we did have one that was and what I remember about that sweeper was Don and Bill came over. That'd be your Uncle Don and Uncle Bill. They were on layoff or something, and Anna Marie was on the way. And they came over to do some housework because Dad was working 12 hours a day. And every time they'd go to use the sweeper, Denny would just have a fit. He just was so possessive of that sweeper. So I would have to take him out in the kitchen while they were sweeping another room.
There was that. I remember tinsel on the trees and the trees not being turned on until Christmas. And you would turn on the tree, and we would put baby Jesus in the manger and sing a couple of Christmas carols. And most of the time, I can't remember when we started going to like midnight mass. But
We started going to midnight mass.
can't remember how old I was.
Grandpa and I and Susie were in choir. And the ushers, that was when we had the choir up in the loft. And that the ushers would send up the overflow people coming into church. And these people were just getting in the way of the choir up there. There wasn't that much room. So, and that was like on Sundays. So at practice this one evening, the director, Jerry Moore, said, you guys who have families, and if the kids are old enough to sing and listen,